it up, pump it up.
Trae,
Come on, come on.
with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to a wonder-filled Wednesday. Really excited for my guest who's in the building. We got Tony 2 times in the building, y'all. We're going to be talking all about his photography, what got him started, his journey, and how he's excited to continue in his artistry. But of course, this is the top of the show. So this is where you are helping us grow by sharing the show with folks who you feel could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness we give you on the Day with Trae. And as usual, if you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You'll find us there. Okay, before I get into it with Tony 2 times, I got to say there's something really special about my relationship with photographers and DJs in this city. Let me tell you, I love it because I have been a part of some phenomenal folks who decided to pick up a camera for the first time and start exploring by taking photos of their friends, their loved ones, being out in community, and just shooting, right? Like constantly shooting and gaining some more and more experience in their craft as they do it. But I've also been able to connect with some very experienced photographers throughout my career, as it led me to, building up editorial teams and connecting to do editorial imagery. So I have explored a full gambit of amazing folks who decide to continuously tell stories of our community by capturing what is going on. And I gotta say that I don't know, but I'm telling you, there's some place in my future where I help curate an amazing exhibit of photography through the lens and the eyes of multiple photographers throughout the generations. Because when I think back, there is folks who have been always at the Esquire Club or other clubs taking photos, right? So when you're getting all dolled up, it was something I grew up with my mom and my aunties and my dad, and they would be so fly taking these photos at the club. And you don't see that a lot anymore, but it was such an era of like the 80s, 90s, it's real. And even now, still, there are some folks who are at some of these clubs taking photos, but it's rare, right? To my own friends who decided to pick up, a camera and get busy in the streets and being there as they'd be like, all right, come on, let's just shoot. Let me just shoot, right? We're just walking around throughout the community, folks just taking snapshots of our feet hitting the grass, right? I mean, it was always a way to be artistic with the camera. So I'm so glad that Tony 2 times is here to tell us his journey about photography, because there's something so unique and special about every person who chooses to tell stories through photography. And I can't let up on my DJs. I think about the eras of music and how music is cyclical, right? We hear certain notes and tunes, and eventually those notes and tunes make their way back around. So shout out to some of my favorite DJs out there in the city. Y'all keep us rocking, keep us moving, and you are also helping to shed light on stories throughout the generations with the selections you choose. Now, many of you have your own style, and you have a way of keeping the crowd rocking no matter where you are. I love that because music is something that truly does soothe the soul, and DJs have such an intimate relationship with music and sounds and those tones, okay? The way that they go from one song to another is so curated. It is so much more than building a playlist and just hitting shuffle, right? They know what they're doing to continue to move a crowd, and I love the eclectic nature that we have up here in the Pacific Northwest of an array of photographers and DJs who have been telling us about stories throughout the generations just based on the selections they choose. So shout out to y'all. I'm so excited that I know many of you. There's some of you I don't. So if you need to come on the Day with Trae, make sure you email our team at the Day with Trae at whereweconverge.com. You know, we want to keep on uplifting stories of those we are not even in relationship with yet. This is a platform for you to amplify your work. So feel free to drop us an email, or you can also DM me on Instagram. Y'all go ahead, send me a message at Trae Holiday, Trae Holiday, and I will respond. Anyways, up next, we got Tony 2 times in the building, y'all. We're going to be talking all things his photography journey. I can't wait to explore this with him. You definitely don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hi there, my name is Angela Poe Russell. Some of you know me from my years being a journalist, a reporter, host, but I've written a musical, co-written a musical, because I have an amazing team around me. It's called Aviatrix, and it's running at Seattle Public Theater this spring. But you can get an exclusive preview because Seattle Association of Black Journalists is having a program called Black Voices Matter. It's March 14th, on my birthday. Like, imagine that. And we're gonna preview this new musical. You'll get to hear some of the numbers and hear the story behind it and hear how it went from a newsroom to a stage. So that's March 14th, the Seattle Association of Black Journalists at the Northwest African American Museum. I hope to see you there.
Experience the breathtaking production that leaves both audiences and critics awestruck. Les Miserables, April 7th through 19th at the Paramount Theater. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
Welcome back, y'all, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Tony. What's up?
What's going on? How you been?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you could be here. You know, as I was saying, there's always something so unique about every photographer's journey. Tell us about those first moments when you decided, hey, yo, let me pick up a camera and start capturing these images.
So, honestly, at first, I wasn't even thinking about trying to be a photographer. Had more aspirations of trying to be a professional athlete. And unfortunately, it came to a sad time where my uncle had passed away from cancer, and I just didn't know what to do. I was still trying to play basketball, and I was in a dark spot. So then my dad, asked me to take pictures at my uncle's funeral. And so he bought me my first camera, and I took pictures at the funeral and was just having the camera sitting on my desk. So then I was like, you know what, let me try to do something with this. So then once I started taking pictures around and just going to different places, and I even started with the Lowrider community, and that's when everything just kind of took off from there. And I even just was taking pictures of the cars and seeing people's reactions. I was like, you know what, I can really do something with this. And in that first year, for myself, that Christmas, I got my LLC. And then by that second year, everything just kind of took off from there.
Wow. You know, you found a niche and a community, too, with the lowrider community. I mean, who would have known? But I really appreciate you sharing that it started kind of out of almost that family tragedy of loss.
Yes.
And out of it bloomed your eye for photography. Tell us how it's been to capture images and get the reaction from folks when they see your imagery, and how it is for you to like see what you're able to capture now.
Yeah. There's a specific photo that I had. It was at the Eazy Does It car show that first year, and it was capturing pretty much the entire atmosphere. Like, you have the cars hopping, you have people in the background, you even have a picture of somebody standing on top of a tow truck. And I just kind of stood back and just looked at the photo. I was like, you know, I really enjoy this. Like, it gave me something to look forward to. So then now I started doing, besides cars, I started working with models, and I started working with a whole bunch of other people too, and getting people's reactions like, oh, that's a dope photo, or oh, I really like this photo. Like, how can I get this photo as soon as possible? So I just love to see people's reactions and how that photo made them feel, or even you don't even know what people are going through. So that photo meant a lot to them.
Wow. Photography is something that now is in the hands of so many people with their camera phones.
Yeah.
But the artistry of photography has evolved so much since those early days of dark room and, trying to, get your images right.
Yeah.
Tell us the kind of things that you started to explore as a photographer, just starting out a few years ago.
So my biggest thing was angles. I didn't really understand angles. I didn't understand, because I'm 6'5", so I'm tall, so I can my eye level's a lot different than everybody else.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I had to understand, and I was even blessed to have a few photographers that have been doing photography 10 plus years. So anytime, any kind of pointers they gave me, I was able to apply it and continue to keep doing that. It was just, it was tough, but practice makes perfect. And from being a basketball player to now doing photography, kind of take some of that concept and apply it to that.
Yeah. I mean, hard work and dedication, right? With anything in order to be great at it. And so I agree with you there. When you talk about angles, there's something you had to do and maybe explore angles a bit more. So I love that you've been able to find out how to do that. Now, when your business is growing, I really want to talk to you about how people find you as a photographer. What ways are you putting yourself out there so people can know that you exist and that they can come to Tony Two Times and get some great photography?
So first thing first is I always go to the car show. So a lot of people, I'll take pictures of their car and introduce myself. But not just that, I'll even walk around Seattle and start taking pictures and walk over, hey, do you want a picture of yourself? Or even just reaching out people on Instagram and even handing out my business cards. There's always multiple ways for me to try to get myself out there. And then anytime I post a picture, I was like, hey, I'm not asking for much, but just tag me so that more people figure out who I am, and word of mouth travels quick.
It does. I think not enough people understand the continued power of word of mouth. You don't need to have a lot of major ads. You just need to be in the right places and spaces for people to be able to talk about what you do. But I think you really hit the nail on the head here by starting out with these car shows. So I got to give you kudos for that, because, maybe there's not somebody who's always there. And I think that consistency shows too, in terms of building relationship. How has it been for you to be connecting with the folks who are always bringing the different cars to these shows? You might start to see some familiar faces over time. Am I right?
That's correct too.
Yeah.
Most definitely. When it comes to the lowrider scene, I got to mainly talk to whoever, because like you said, they might not be there the next time. So just getting their contact information, because you never know what they have on the outside. Like, obviously we come together as a common group when it comes to cars, but you don't know what kind of business or who knows that they could connect you with somebody. For example, my biggest accomplishment that second year, and it was only because of who I know and who they were able to contact, I did photos for Lowrider Magazine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a huge, huge honor.
It is.
I mean, but again, I think, you know what you're doing to be like, hey, yo, I can do these car photos well, and just like hone in on it. But it also is, again, when I was talking at the beginning of how photography is helping to tell the stories of our current time, so that in 20 years, somebody looking back at your photos and go, oh my God, that's what that show was like in 2022, 2025, right? Like they can see that, wow, like we've evolved, or look at what they were doing with the cars back then, right? So there's something really special about that. How do you respond to being able to be a contributor to capturing our current times right now that may be super beneficial for years to come?
So when it comes to that, a lot of people, you don't know where people are at. And on top of that, people can say like, oh, I've been to this show years later on, or even they want to show their kids like, hey, this is what mom and dad used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's a memory, and it's a great memory that people can have, and they'll be able to live on and even show like their grandkids or even just families and friends. It's like, oh, this is what so-and-so used to do back in the day. And this is something that we can enjoy, because it's like we can just look back and just have fun, and even just enjoy the memories of having to have that photo captured, or even that video that's captured too.
How does it make you feel?
It feels great. It feels really great. I enjoy just seeing that I can remember and look back like, hey, I took this photo. Or even like, oh, remember when Tony took this photo and it ended up being on something else. So yeah, it's a great feeling to see people like taking that, and even I've had photos framed before too.
Yeah. You know, we're big on photos capturing history here. As you can see by our wall, there's something so special about photography and how it shapes our understanding of what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
And there's something very special, especially right now, you know, where people need to be reminded of the joy in our community during this time where there's so many other things that are trying to attack joy, you know, on so many different formats or levels.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for saying, let me do something with this. Let me actually take this as a business opportunity to capture the stories and these, you know, amazing car competitions, right? Like you're there in that space, and it helps people be able to have something to go back to and look forward to when they say, man, in 10 years I could show my kids, you know, exactly what you said, what we used to do and how I used to, you know, pour into my cars or whatever, right? So I appreciate that. Now, of course, I got to ask about you being hired for other things. You talked about working with models and other things like that. How do people get connected with you? I want to make sure that I leave people with your information so they know exactly how to find you and how to be connected. So before we end, I want you to just look in that camera right there and let them know this is how you find Tony Two Times right there.
The best way to contact me is through email, shopbytony2times, but it's shopbytony2x@gmail.com. Shopbytony2x on all social media platforms, and just go ahead and reach out, send me a DM, and I'll respond to you.
Wow. Tony Two Times, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story of photography. Man, we're here to bolster you and promote as much as we can for the good work that you are doing. Of course, it's so valuable to have more and more photographers in our community. So I can't thank you enough.
That is a blessing to be here, and I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Anytime you got something going on, you got your photos being put up in another thing, let us know.
I most definitely will.
Washington's biggest night out for sports?
Is Sports Star.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Huge shout out to Tony Two Times for joining me today. You know, it's always special to hear that background story of why someone has decided to dive into a particular industry. And with something so intimate as photography, you know, you are shooting other people in some very specific moments of their lives. And for him to start off at his uncle's funeral and to be inspired enough to continue going and growing in the field, it says a lot about his eye of photography, right? So of course, if you are looking to book Tony 2 Times, make sure you follow him on social, send him an email, connect with him on DMs. But this is another photographer that we get to uplift and amplify in our community, and I'm so glad he was here to share his story with us. Of course, I'll be wrapping the week up with y'all on Friday, and until then, y'all, at 11 a.m., peace.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.